Hey there, BookTube. How's it going? Noah. Everyone who reads it must converse is a channel. Today I'm doing something a bit different, but happy Tag Tuesday. Because there's just so many tags out there, too many tags to do. So I'm actually going to follow a formulation put out there by J Maddox Entertainment. Check him out. He's a fun channel. And I'll link any channel that I say in here in the description box, of course. This is the not enough time to do all these tags mashup tag, where we have our choice to pick tags that you like to do. I'm picking tags that I've actually been tagged in, that has actually, just kind of been I have a lot of content. You know what I mean? I don't have enough time to formulate these tags, so we're going to mash them up. The first tag that I'm going to pick a few from is the Divine Comedy Readers tag. This is created by Tom L.A. Books. It's a great tag. It's a wonderful tag, actually. And Tom tagged me off of his creation video. So I appreciate that, Tom. The first question, Psychedelic Eagle, a book that fired your visual imagination. Well, this will come as no surprise to somebody who's read this book. It is Perdido Street Station by China Mieville. This book is imagination off the charts. It keeps going. It never stops. It's not as if ideas are thrown out there and then you kind of live in that world. The world and the ideas and the epic imagination that is in this book keeps going all the way up until the very end of the book. It has some of the most horrifying, non-human, evil things. They're not exactly evil, but they are, going to destroy the world if they're not stopped. The slate moths, and just an amazing amount of diverse characters. There's bug people, there's hawk people, there's cactus people, like plant people. It's ridiculous. There's a huge AI construct that is unbelievable in this book. Just too much. So the visual imagination was firing on all cylinders with this one here. Highly recommend it for sure. Number 2, Count UGOLINO, book with such graphic, horrific depiction that you will never forget it. I've mentioned this book before. This is a book that is so horrifying to me that when I was reading it, I actually did not want to think about it. I didn't reflect on it. Even when I was done, I don't really reflect on it because it is horrifying, and it is Blindness by Jose Saramago. This is a hypothetical, what if there was a disease or condition that swept through the population that caused everybody to be blind. And you can imagine how horrific it would be, that right there, but it is compounded by how people try to deal with this. It's not going to be contained or anything like that. They don't even know how this kind of thing is moving through the population, and eventually all of humanity gets brought to a very barbaric level of not being able to really take care of themselves. It's a wild exploration of what it might be to lose our most, arguably the most valuable sense, outer sense that we have, our sight. And it is completely horrifying. Tough to take. Number 3, Ulysses, a book whose protagonist leads a group to follow into an adventure. So for that, I grabbed, I thought of the Zohar. And the Zohar is amazing. So I grabbed the guide just to show, because the Zohar books are massive. You know what I mean? They're big, and there's nothing to really turn to and to kind of show you what it's about. But in this guide, the beginning here, I can read a little something to give you a taste of what the Zohar is. Written in a lofty combination of Aramaic and Hebrew, Zohar was first revealed to the world around the year 1300. The Castilian Kabbalists, who distribute it orally and in small written fragments, presented it as an ancient text that they had recently discovered. They claimed that it had been composed in the circle of those described within its pages. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, and that's the main protagonist in the drama, that is the Zohar, that is leading a band of disciples around Jerusalem and surrounding areas. He is a saint errant. They lived in the land of Israel 1,000 years earlier, around the 2nd century of the Common Era. The obscurity of the Zohar's origins, combined with its unique language and its rich poetic imagery, lend the work to an aura of unfathomable mystery. While a few more of the critical spirits in each century doubted the Zohar and questioned its authority, the great majority of its readers and later Jewry as a whole believe in the Zohar and venerated it, considering it a holy revelation and a sacred scripture to be ranked alongside the Bible and the Talmud as divinely inspired source of religious truth. Only in modern times, and largely for apologetic reasons, was the Zohar deleted from the canon of what is considered mainstream Judaism. This is a work of spiritual fantasy, is what the Zohar is. It is a fantastic tale, but it is about spiritual evolution of man, which is the higher evolution of the mind and the personality. And this kind of thing is immensely interesting. And like I said, it is a drama. It is framed as a drama, but it is wonderful language, and it is actually a linguistic romp as well, because it is going into the letters that construct words and what it means, and deriving richer and more and more meaning from it, and showing how rich language actually is, and when we say things, what do we really mean by it? So I love it. Thank you, Tom, for that one. The next tag I'm going to talk about is the spoiler tag. This was created by Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and I don't remember who tagged me in this one, but I had it written down that I had gotten tagged. So sorry if I don't remember who tagged me. The fourth question I'm doing: what do you consider a spoiler? Well, what I consider a spoiler is anything that is in the book that the author intends for you to kind of question or not know, and then to be revealed later on in the text, whether that be by a character or by a narrative exposition, whatever. So a spoiler is something that is intended to be unknown upon reading it, at least until the text itself reveals it. And there you go. Number 5. Do you research books or do you go in blind? 90% of the time I go in blind. I don't like to, get other people's ideas of what a book is before I experience a book on my own. Now, that's not to say that I don't watch like reviews and watch what people say about certain books to get turned on to a book. But what I really want in that kind of way is, hey, I really liked this book. I really enjoyed this book, and here's the reasons why. And this is the kind of thing that you might enjoy about it. It's this kind of book. It's that kind of book. Not specifics about the plot or, characters or something like that. But, that kind of stuff creeps in. I'm not a big stickler for spoilers. I just don't go for them. And I definitely don't do any kind of Goodreads or Wikipedia even, because there's notorious for spoiling like that. And I don't read big introductions. We're reading Virginia Woolf, The Waves right now, and it has a 40-page introduction to it. The book is only 220 pages long. The introduction that is written to it is 40 pages long. There is spoilers in there. There is, what I mean? They're exploring what it is that Woolf is doing with this work. So I didn't read that at all. I'm not going to read it until afterwards. And so I kind of look out for myself like that. The next tag that I'm going to talk about is the My Reading Life in 10 Books tag. This was created by a commenter over on Kelly's channel, Books I'm Not Reading. And I was tagged by Lukash at A Cool Reader's Thesis. Thank you very much, y'all. And thank you very much for the commenter. This is the kind of tag that I really love. So, one of the earliest books that was formative for me, I read it with my mother, and I didn't read this copy. I read like an old busted paperback copy. But I found this hardcover, first edition, in the bookstore just earlier in the year. So I replaced my paperback copy. This is The Reincarnation of Peter Proud by Max Ehrlich. Maybe, I hope you're not getting too much glare on that because it's such a cool cover. And, but it does have the mylar on it and stuff. This is a fiction work about a reincarnation where a guy is having dreams of a previous life, and he starts trying to figure out who this is and what has happened and all that kind of stuff. And the end is super satisfying. It's a short work, you can see. I read this with my mother when I was a very, very young reader, maybe middle school. And I was always affected by it. Right then I saw, okay, reading's fun. This is really, really fun. This is awesome. What people can do with books, they can do whatever they want. Another book that was a little bit later on than that showed me, that really affected me or was formative for me, was To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Read it in school, watched the movie, all that kind of stuff. And I really felt that, like anybody who's come in contact with this work, you see that then that fiction can illustrate big issues. And it doesn't have to be like in your face, you should do this, this is the way that it should be, this is the way that the world sucks. It can be just a person's story that you come in contact with, or a family story, as far as this is concerned. And it brings to light an issue that you really have to, understand is present in society, and then and you grow because of that. So I loved it. It was one of those landmark, kind of a cornerstone book for me in my young reading. A little bit older even than that, so maybe beginning college years, a friend of mine told me how beautiful Buddhism was as a religion. And I said, okay, well, let me check it out. Didn't know anything about it, of course. I was raised in a non-denominational Christian household that was very lax. I mean, we were not very religious in our household, but it just is what it is. It's common modern Southern United States being brought up. So, but I was free to read and go explore whatever I wanted. So I got turned on to that, and I grabbed a book, and this is not the edition, but it was like this. What this is a survey of the teachings of Buddhism. It gives you kind of like some biographical stuff on Shakyamuni Buddha, the life of the Buddha, teachings of the Buddha, things like that. But then goes into the Dharma, which is the teachings itself, which is, spiritual teachings. And it illustrates different parts of Buddhism, causation, how causation is viewed in Buddhism, dependent origination, causation, and the Four Noble Truths. The theory of mind only and the real state of reality. These kind of things, illustrating an experience-only view of the world. That the duality, the fundamental duality, is the inner and the outer. It's two sides of one coin. The inside and the outside of experience, all experience. And then another part is the way of practice, talking about different practices as far as purification of the mind, which is basically meditation, and working through the mind and all of its aspects, emotions, personality, all that kind of stuff. And I fell in love with Buddhism very much because in Buddhism you don't need anything outside of yourself. It's all very personal. It's all very individualized, because all those kind of things, teachings that are put out there, well, they are there to be practiced through and then verified within yourself if you can, and if not, then you just kind of keep going with what is practice, which is virtues, kindness, patience, and then also personal practices and meditation. So very cool. maybe 10 years ago now, I embarked on a journey reading that changed me as a reader, and it was reading the Dune series by Frank Herbert. So I read the first 6 books of the Dune series by Frank Herbert, the only 6 by Frank Herbert. Then I read the prequel trilogy of the Machine Crusade, the Butlerian Jihad, and the Battle of Corin. And then I read Brian Herbert's and Kevin J. Anderson's 2 books that actually finish up the original 6, because Frank Herbert left this on a cliffhanger when he died. Because I wanted the whole story, right? And a friend of mine loved the Dune series. He said it's awesome. And it was awesome. So I read what is 14 books, I believe. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. Maybe there was 3 more in there, because I thought it was 14 that I had read in that one string of reading, just reading the Dune series. I didn't put anything in between. Just kept going from book to book to book in the series. And after that, I had this feeling where I go, I can read anything now. And it kind of elevated my reading to another level where I was like, I'm not scared of big books. I'm not scared of stories that go along forever. I can read anything right now. I came across in a used bookstore, maybe 5 to 7 years ago now, a very strange book called Cosmic Sense 1. This is Cosmic Sense 1, the revisioning and remembering of the fragments of Love's Body by Ralph E. Vaughn. This is wonderful wordplay, breaking apart and working into words as it is building this kind of personal, very personal narrative. It is about his own personal practice. But what is in here, what this book really is all about, is his personal growth through working with his mind and working with his personality to become a whole being. Whole. W-H-O-L-E. These word mandalas don't stop. These kind of word mandalas that are in here are completely wild. And when you read the words and you see that he's grabbing different aspects of himself and putting them into one image. So he's creating a mandala, a very personal mandala. Then there is these kind of huge, let's see if we can find some, sometimes making images with. Then there's these huge pull-out mandalas that are full of words as well, right? It's not using art, it's using words to create the art, but what it is a mandala of his own personal inside and outside. There's internal ones and external ones, and ones that kind of marry the two. It is an amazing ride to go through this book. Marketing versus, this is destructive marketing versus productive exchange. Destructive hoarding versus productive preserving. So he's taking these kind of things and just working a mandala through, from the womb to the tomb, on either side of those mandalas there. So I thought it'd be cool just to share, because this was very formative for me in a way that I saw somebody actually doing. The practice of integrating themselves and making themselves into a whole being. The final book, as far as my life in 5 books, I'm doing half the tag, that I'm going to show is a series that I just had read this last year, and it is the Hyperion Cantos by Dan Simmons. And the reason I am bringing that up as a formative one, because it kind of cemented and showed me that it verified to me, which is something that I already kind of felt, is that sci-fi is, as a genre, is the most versatile genre out there. Literary fiction or just regular contemporary fiction, go for it. You know what I mean? You can do whatever, but that tends to be more realist. You know, real people, real situations, issues that are in the real world here. The second you add something that's not part of it, well, it kind of becomes fantasy, or it becomes a magical realism or strange fiction or something like this, and it gets boxed into the genre, some genre, right? So sci-fi is a genre that is the most versatile for exploring ideas and social constructs and belief sets of all kinds. And I love it. So the Hyperion Cantos blew my mind. It's 4 books, and it reads like 2 books, and it is beautifully done, amazingly done, and it is very, very powerful. So I definitely recommend that as well. All right, happy Tag Tuesday, y'all. Catch me on the flip side. Bye, Book 2.